Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Jug Dealers Podcast, brought to you by 5/8 Distribution, and it is all things cannabis and lifestyle related. We have a very interesting and actually kind of fun episode for you today. I'd call it an interview, but it's as much of a, let's call it part interview and part discussion. We're actually going to bring you the real Scotty Real. He's a good buddy of mine, and we thought it'd be a great idea to actually travel up north to the bakery and sit down with Scotty Real, and off to the bakery without further ado.
We're Jug Dealers, we're the podcast you need in your feed, teaching the game like you never seen. Jared, Gabe, Rambo, true OGs, masters of the globe, set your mind free. From Denver, Colorado, where the date is green, we set the data points for the SOPs. Jug Dealers Podcast, yes indeed.
All right, we're here in the bakery, and it's a pleasure. We're doing a little bit of a flip-flop here, right? So we're doing a Jug Dealer episode in the bakery, which I've been wanting to do for a little while. So thank you so much, Scotty, for allowing us to do this. And my kind of thinking was, and of course, we're going to go pretty free form as we like to do here.
Did you just thank me?
I did thank you.
Can I say something to you, my friend?
Sure.
And you are my friend. I love you being up here. And you are welcome, sir. You are welcome in my studio. And I'm psyched to hang out.
It's always
man. We always have a good time. I'm glad to share it with the crew this time.
And for guys, I guess those of you that don't know, we do actually live in the same town. We live, like 10 minutes from each other. So this is actually easy and fun.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons you do see me pop in and out on, on some of the different variations with the crew and everything else. And it was great seeing a lot of everybody at the cup as well.
We'd be remiss if we did not shout out Grambo. That's our producer.
Am I getting paid twice for this?
Hold on now. It was great having you. And I loved it.
Awesome. I was so happy you guys agreed to hang out. Let's get on.
Yes, we agreed to hang out.
I agreed to hang out, which to be fair, we hang out anyway. We just agreed to do it and turn the camera on and call it a Jug Dealer episode. Yes. But obviously, like we were kind of talking, and in my head, I was thinking, like talking a little bit about, what your growing background is, how did you get into things like this, but really kind of get into like, who's the real Scotty Real? Whoa.
That's your real name.
And like I was even telling you, and I think our listeners will agree, we had some pretty interesting things that came out on the Adam Dunn show that, when you're doing your own show, you're not going to just sit there. I mean, I guess you could, but it'll be a very interesting show and go me all the time. So I know you probably think that people know you, but I think that they would be interested to hear some of the background, how you got, to Colorado. I know people, in general know you're from Florida and things like that, but why don't you just kind of start a little bit from the beginning, where you're from, what your family life was like, and kind of, how'd you start slipping into this world of cannabis that we know and love?
Well, I was born the son of a sharecropper. That'd be a lot cooler if I was. Oh, man. It's weird, man. If I'm going to say, I didn't smoke weed till I was visiting college when I was 17 years old. And then I remember going back and being like, oh, my God, I'm addicted to weed. And it tell me, I just loved it. I was just like, oh, my God.
Right off
right off the bat, man. Got me a dugout, was a daily smoker.
Wow.
I will tell you, probably the second, this is even before I smoked weed. Before I smoked weed, my buddy comes over and he goes, dude, you got to hide this. My parents are searching my room now. They know I smoke. No. And it is the littlest gram bag with some swag and seeds. And I go, dude, it comes with seeds? I'm like, what kind of a business plan is that? And I said to the 14-year-old kid, I'm like, we can grow this?
Yeah. And wow, you were already thinking that. Like, thinking it without thinking it. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm cheap, man.
I don't,
Grows on trees.
I think most people look at the seeds and go, shit. You're looking at it and go, whoa, comes with the seeds too?
Can I tell you what I did?
Planted them?
Planted them right on my windowsill. Those little dicot leaves come out?
Yeah, oh yeah.
The first two leaves come
First cotyledons.
It's very, very innocent looking. I'm like, holy cow, they grow. 3 days later, I'm like, that looks like a wheat plant. I got to throw those out. But I've always been fascinated.
So yeah, you started growing at the ripe young age of 14, kind of. I always popped your first beans.
Yeah, definitely. No, I went to Florida State University. I don't know if there's any Seminoles out there. But let me think of a name. Man, it was my buddy. I'll call him Jim Ching. All right. He had he had a name that was kind of monetary. Okay. Anyway, man, this guy started growing, and he had, the Afghani, and he had the, what was that? Old school strains. I'm saying, so I don't even know if sour diesel was there back then.
Probably not.
Organic. It was pure Durban.
Straight South African.
Yeah, it was very interesting. There was a lot of landrace stuff. He had a tie in there, but it was that's a plant.
Stretchy. Yeah.
I was into, and this is so old. This is so before that. He actually had a friend who had another friend that stole a light from a car dealership, like an HPS light. Because they were that freaked out about going to the grocery store and buying shit.
Right. It was nor did the grocery store really probably exist. At best, you were able to go, maybe to a nursery, something like that, a garden center, but it's not like they had artificial lighting. I mean, I know early on, all the people that I knew, they were either legitimately stolen off of a street light, or gone to a junkyard and found, some old lights and ripped out these, big old ballasts, but those ballasts are probably rated for 50 years or something.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know of anybody getting lighting before that, but also you got to think people weren't worried about even really going indoors until the mid 70s or so. And when the paraquat scares were happening and things like that, and really people started going, not only from a security standpoint, but from a health standpoint, they were afraid of having, crop sprayed and things like that. So that's kind of where some of the indoor revolution and cannabis happened. Yeah.
I was thinking about that, man, because we were talking last night. I actually called you last night. I was through homework for Scotty Real 420 channel, and I was like, yo, man, I'm talking about why LEDs and HPSs have such a difference. And what you said to me.
And that's been a big topic of discussion.
Yeah, but they just wanted 20,000 foot overview. What you said is that these things were selected under HPS. So now that they're growing differently under LED,
they should be.
Yeah.
I look at it as a selection pressure, and it's something we've talked a bit about on this show, and I've talked a bit about, on other shows, but it's literally, if you break it down very simply, phenotype is genotype plus environment equals phenotype. Genotype being the genes, phenotype being the expression of the genes that they have. I love that. Those expressions of those genes are affected by the environment. Even, a lot of plants are like octoploids even, right? So they're up to 8 or, sets of genes. We're diploids. There are 2 sets, one for mom, one for dad.
Oh, you effing octoploid. Has any girl called you that ever? Sounds awesome.
So, they have many, many, many genes, a lot of which are turned on and off as you go through generation to generation, which is one of the important reasons of even going through a generation and going to seed.
Sure.
Especially if you were trying to, let's say, as an example, I was trying to take a seed from Florida or take a plant from Florida and bring it to Colorado and get it to really actually appreciate the Colorado's environment.
Outdoor. Yeah, because outdoors even
much more different.
So much more different.
Exactly. So if I were to do that and not kill it the first year because it's so pissed off that I took it from Florida to Colorado and was able to collect the seed, it would go into that year, that seed run and go, okay, I see what didn't work. I see what did work, and it's going to make some little changes. I've even seen, different case studies with people taking tomatoes from Iowa to high altitude here in Colorado, right? So the one year they literally got a tomato.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But they took those seeds from that tomato. The next year they had a few tomatoes, took the best one of that. By 5 to 7 years, they have a totally acclimated plant that's producing like it used to back home. But you have to take that time to get the plant to actually select within itself, right? So I use that as an extreme example, but we can still extrapolate that to lighting as well, right? So I think I made the joke to you about everybody's looking for sour D, right? Well, I'm half convinced that a lot of people have had the real sour D, but the way that they've ran it, both in lighting and nutrition, is such that they're not seeing the same expressions that they got way back when.
What was it? Adam Dunn had the invitational. Somebody had the invitational where they would give you everybody got the same cut.
That was the grow off.
The grow off, yeah.
Yeah, and
that was Gabe, wasn't it?
That was some friends of Gabe. That wasn't actually Gabe cool. Did one called something similar, but that was actually a couple names.
It's a neat idea.
And it was a neat idea. And the coolest part was the one thing, the one criticism I have, which was not a big criticism, but there wasn't a consumption aspect to the judging. It was all testing. But the coolest thing they did is they take
awesome.
whatever.
No, it's just funny. No, I won't even say.
Amen. I did want to mention one thing, of course, an open shout out for samples. If you've got thrips, it's the middle of the summer. We know how things are right now. Hit us up for Slicium, which is that liquid insurance. Hit us up for the multi and the russet. We can get you some pesticides, all 25B. We can get you that liquid insurance, Slicium, the mononorthosilicic acid. Shoot us a message on JugDealers.net. Also, if you need anything, you can get on JugDealers.shop. My favorite part of that was that they would take, because it's proving my point, is that they would take professional pictures of every sample that was out there. So same genetic, unknown genetic, people running anything from living soil beds all the way to, pure salt systems, whatever. If you looked at that, you would swear it was 50 different strains, 50 different growers, 50 different strains. Because again, that's where your environment, nutrients, latitude, longitude, altitude, humidity, all these things, these are pressures. So
just because I love it, man. It's one of the smartest things that I've heard. But tell me the genotype. Remember, we had to go over it. Yes,
right.
Genotype is just the type of plant it is.
That's the genes. That's the genes, right? That's what's in there, right? You can't change the genes it has.
But then you times it, you multiply it by the environment, man. The environment can be a 0.1 or a 0.8. It's going to totally change.
Yep. In that environment, and that environment depends on even its place of origin, right? So even if you look at that and extrapolate that to other places in horticulture, if you have problems with potatoes, for example, where do you go to try and fix that, genetically speaking? Peru. Because that's the place of origin.
Iowa.
I know.
Just because Grambo.
No,
just kidding. I got it right this time. You actually are from Iowa.
That's it.
Idiots out walking around, man. Hey, no offense to it. By the way, I can say that. I'm a former Iowan. Whoa. So, yeah.
Oh,
go Pella. That's true, actually. It's a little Dutch town, Yarsma Bakery, absolutely delicious. The Dutch letters there to die for. Anyhow.
Dude, you guys are both from Iowa?
I actually had forgotten about that, yeah.
Is this the Midwest we're in here, man?
This is the Mountain West, friend.
And we're the same age. It's kind of weird.
Why are the people so nice here? It always throws...
Well, because I've always had a little bit of a theory about this, because I have a little bit of a theory about many things. I believe it's Midwest. It's like a West Coast vibe with some Midwestern values. And to be fair, most of the people here are all from the Midwest.
Yeah.
Hey, I know one or two people, legit, one that I can think of right off the top of my head, and the other one I don't think lives here anymore, that's actually born and raised in Fort Collins.
Yeah.
Being a college town, none of the three of us, well, grandma doesn't live here, but, this place becomes a ghost town over Christmas because everybody goes home. They'll drive across Kansas to where the hell they're from.
I will shout out to the dude. That's why no matter what happens, I can never be mad at the dude because he was the one that says, I'm moving to Colorado.
Right. And I do want to get into that. I know you talked a little bit about that, but for some of my listeners that haven't had that, I find that part of the story very interesting. And we'll get to that, just the way that you guys met and how you're, kind of your spot in which you've done an amazing job carving, your spot, your niche in this industry. And even as things have changed, you guys have stayed relevant. You have a wonderful crew. Shout out to the DGC. And, I know that we've got a lot of crossover listeners. So, you've done a great job with that. So wonderful.
Did we carve our spot out? I more think we look like a pickaxe or a hammer or something.
I think it's erosion.
He wrote it.
It's more like we just didn't leave.
That's the worst one, Grandma. That's the worst. That's the most valuable.
It's a slow burn.
I appreciate it, man. We've been having a good time at this. I once read a marketing book, said find a parade you want that you love and jump in front. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Do I love weed and do I love growing weed? And I love telling people about it.
Right.
It's not that hard.
Right. Well, I truly do. And I think you guys, understand this about me is, at this point, but I do enjoy the education aspect of it. And that's one of the reasons why I always had, a good time coming on to your show and with the dude and interacting with your followers and listeners. And it's one of the reasons that I wanted to do my own thing as well, is like, I really wanted to bring the education and get to people easier and quicker and in a medium that people are used to and using really popularly at this point.
Right. And so we're using weed to beat the system. I mean,
isn't that great?
How many times do you get excited about studying something or learning something or going home and reading something? They tricked me, man. With cannabis, I'm like, oh my God. I want to learn what the rhizosphere is. I want to learn how microbes develop. Through that, I learned how the food digests, how my body is protected.
Sure. Well, and for me, like that's what I really do enjoy is lighting those sparks or getting those light bulbs to turn on in people's heads and go, oh man, I find that really interesting. Now I want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We kind of try and stay on a surface level and whatnot, but I do want to go back and just, slightly finish up the selection pressure thing. But I think this is just happening over and over and over again. People are taking a classic strain that was inevitably grown under HPS lighting and a more simple nutrient program, probably with peat moss, right? So
big deal. Yeah.
Well, it's all different. These are all going to be pressures. So if you're taking it and selecting it, or taking a genetic that was selected in that environment and bring it into what is our modern environment that we're running today, right, which is heavily LED with a lot of people, you're not going to get the same expression. You're literally going to break science. Like all of a sudden, what do you think you're literally going to get the same outcome? No. And again, the grow off's a great example of that. But I also think, one example that I had, and shout out to Professor P at Dynasty Genetics, great breeder, great guy, really for the community. Check out Relic Seeds as well. That's his, more of his like land race company. But he told me one time that the cough, he still has the original cough from Fort Collins that he collected here 25, 30 years ago.
The FOCO cough?
The FOCO cough, the original cough. Okay. And what's interesting about it though, is when people would get that cut, it didn't just come as a cut, it came with a recipe. So it would come with and at that time it was peat moss and age-old, and that's how people ran it. Well, come to find out, she was an absolute magnesium whore, and age-old is very high in magnesium, so performed incredibly well. So grow that in any other scenario, you're not going to see the cough that you knew.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, so it's not just lighting, but I think one of the most popular and common places that people are seeing that is in lighting, right?
Yeah.
So again, we're getting a verified cut, but to me, you still have to do some sifting. Even if I take those verified cuts and bring them to my system, I still have to run through them. Some are going to perform really well. Some aren't. You know what I mean? Might be the watering system. Might be that they don't like wet feet. Might that they like your, calcium, whatever it happens to be, So, I mean, all of these things are selection pressures, but I think light's a big one. So, yeah, I think it's a really interesting topic.
When I was, thank you, because it's coming out on the Scotty Real 420 channel. But when we talk about that, one of the big things that is different strain, can we loiter in the arena of LED versus HPS?
Yeah, because to me, it isn't a versus, but please, yes.
Well, the difference between them, because you go into a bunch of commercial grows, so you had really interesting stuff to say. And the idea that even if the room's the same temperature, because the HPS has that infrared light, like stuff that comes out of heat lamps and it heats things, and once that stuff hits the leaf, it's raising that leaf surface temperature.
And the internal temperature as well. It's almost like a microwave, yeah.
As opposed to the LED, which is actually allowing the plant to respire or transpire rather and cool itself. Actually, it's running two degrees under.
Yeah, and then but then to get that same level of metabolism, or for them to be able to actually munch up that same level of nutrition, people got to typically run the rooms a little bit higher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Typically more like 82, 84 degrees, which in all reality, for a lot of people, that's nice because you're not having to cool it so heavily. What I'd like to do and what I want to talk a little bit more about, I want to, because here's the thing. I mean, I saw the black market, but on the back end of it, right? I'm 41 years old.
Can it be a free market?
Yeah, well, why can't it be?
You know what? You say black market, which means gives it a black mark or whatever. It's supposed to be bad. I made the best friends of my life. Buddy, I'll shout him out. Mike used to help me out a ton in the free market.
There were some very, very real and strong relationships forged in that time because we're all, in this collective aspect. But so tell our listeners, again, this is, we're bringing Scotty on. Tell us a bit about Scotty. Tell us about because again, you got to realize a lot of our listeners, maybe they haven't been in a world where cannabis wasn't legal as a consumer.
Oh my God. I thought you were going to say it was legal. I grew up in Florida, South Florida.
What the hell was it like? This outlaw place we know of is
our parents were cocaine dealers. No, I'm just kidding, man. I will tell you, when I moved there,
only half kidding.
When I was 10 years old, I moved and I was in the 5th grade and people were wearing Ozzy and Black Sabbath shirts. And I was like, I came from like a little farm town in Pennsylvania. Yeah.
But why'd you guys why'd you go to Florida? Like just a job thing, your parents in Florida? Why Florida?
My dad was a plumber. You can either do frozen pipes or fancy new things for cocaine dealers. You know?
Fair.
No, but for real, man. And when I went to Florida State and learned how to grow there, my old man, I don't think they'll come after him, was an AC guy, a plumbing and AC guy. You want to talk about my real buckets that I learned about and then I invented or whatever? And shout out to Hempy. Hempy really invented them. But the whole manifold system comes from my dad always saying to me, water seeks its own level, Scotty. Water seeks it, meaning that if you pour water here, it's going to end up the same level over there as long as there's enough of it. And that's what I use for my real bucket system, man.
Huh.
So plumbing, and then he was an air conditioning guy.
Good guy to know.
Oh, my. And he could keep his mouth shut. Dude, think about when you're a grower in Florida, how important, black market grower, free market, how important it is to know an air conditioning guy
In Florida.
a cool air conditioning guy.
So this
that you can pay him in weed.
this is your dad.
That's my dad. Yeah.
So how did you come to the first time? The first time when you said, Dad, I got this thing going on and I need your help. How did that go down?
Thank you, because this is a fun story.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
I decided to just start growing in my closet while I lived with him and thought I'd get away with it. He'd never notice, man. We lived in an apartment. Yeah, I went out. Do you remember there was things called slab systems? It was rock wool slabs, and you grew like 2 or 3 plants in each slab. Yeah, I decided to go get a 5-tray, one of those, put it in the...
So you went on a college visit.
No.
Your first time at 17, right?
Yes.
So this is after that, right?
This is after, yeah.
Right, but you're back home. You have decided that your life is now about weed.
Yes, and I'm going to grow it because I'm going to make a fortune. And my dad finds it in the closet, and he goes, Scotty, what the hell is this? And I go, but Dad, it's $4,000 a pound.
And he went,
Tell me more, son. Yeah.
Wow.
But I tell you what, me and him perfected, allegedly, the 20 light flip. What is the statute of limitations on this shit?
Oh,
We're good, right?
Yeah, you're totally.
Yeah, man. Don't get caught.
Yeah.
UGC, don't get caught.
Yeah.
No, a 20 light flip was a pretty cool way to grow back then. You could run 20 total lights, and you would have a 4-light veg that would feed 2 8-light flowering rooms. And because flowering rooms are on 12-12, you had one that went on from 12 in the morning till 12 in the afternoon. Then you had another one that went on 12 in the afternoon to 12 in the morning. And you would all feed them. So once a month, you would feed an 8-lighter. And once a month, you would harvest an 8-lighter. It was pretty cool.
Good schedule, good money.
Yeah, it was really neat, man. So
who came up with that? Is that something that you kind of...
the past is a fabulous dream to be distorted at will. So it was me.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, man, I don't know. But I tell you what, man, we made them go good. 5 tons of AC and a 20 lighter. Worked good. A flip box. Did you have a...
Well, I was about to say, that's what...
No, because my dad knew his shit, man. So he taught us how to make them ourselves. A $900 flip box. Go get a contactor from an air conditioner and a timer, and you can make your own.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I was going to bring up how popular that was, that even when I was at the grocery store, that was still a viable piece of equipment, was the flip box.
Oh, yeah.
The white and blue. I can't remember what company it was from.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't make your own, by the way. That is some high voltage stuff right there. I was the kind of guy...
Professional.
Yeah, like it actually has a box. Mine was just the flip part. There was like you don't want to touch the wrong spots on it, man.
No, but that's, and the other reason I asked with like, who came up with it, because the ratios are right. You know what I mean? As far as, that's the right amount of veg.
Yeah.
That's the right, 2 8-light flower rooms. I used to run an 8-light flower room here that, we go a crank.
Yeah.
So if you were doing 2 sides, yeah.
Who came up with that was somebody, like I said, and I had experience where I was able to hang out with my dad, and he was able to say, hey, Scott, you only get 100 amps on ale.
Yeah. So you got...
Let me explain to you what an amp is. Let me explain to you...
got that early as...
Yeah, how it relates to how many 1,000-watt lights you can run. A 1,000-watt light, when you would plug it in, if you left it in 24 hours a day and unplugged it, like after a few months, it'd be a burn mark on the wall.
Oh,
like it was so ridiculously oversized, pulling the craziest. I think it was 9.5 amps like a 10 amp.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet it's
with burnt wires.
Yeah, it's 9 amps. 9 amps is 1,000 watts on 120.
Yeah.
4.5 on 240. So were you running on 120?
No, that's the point, is that I started really learning how to be a grower early. And a lot of that is just, and by the way, this is pre-Google. You don't need a dad like mine. Shout out to you. But you are able to go and look at this stuff and be like, hey, man, let me see. I'm gonna just watch a 12-minute video on electricity and learn that if I can cut it from 110 to 220, I run half the power and double the amount of wires. So I run 2 wires instead of 1 and split the power up. That's freaking powerful. That's powerful, man. That's really helpful. That keeps you from burning the house down.
I look back in my growing career and once I got 240, hooked up and really started understanding that.
Yeah.
That was a huge fork in the road.
And it's just, as long as we're just bullshitting with everybody, you got power coming in and it's 2 lines. You ever seen the 2 lines coming into your main power box, and they're each 110 volts. So when you marry them together, it's 240 volts. I'd so much rather have high voltage, or not, theoretically, and my grow or my lights, have it going through 2 wires at half strength than going through 1 wire at full strength.
Right.
Right. Just the equipment's going to last longer.
The equipment's going to last longer. I mean, it's one of the reasons why at DLI we do no 120 anymore, because of that exact thing. It puts so much more pressure on the equipment, and they just burn out, and the failure rate so much higher.
Yeah.
Because exactly of double the load on half the gear.
Yeah, that's a great point. Anyone that buys the DL lights on JugDealers.shop, I was about to get one of the Papillons or the multi-layers, and then they were like, Grandma, was your crappy Colorado house outfitted for 240? And I was like, it's not.
What is your house from, the 1870s?
Yeah. I live on a little house on the prairie.
Do you have like an outlet?
You can feel the wind through the outlet.
That is true.
Wow. But just, you really had to consider, power bills and things like that. Stuff that's not even, you can't even use that against us anymore in places like Colorado. It's just, it's interesting. And I mean, that's the thing. It's not even just about growing the herb. And then again, if you're going to be growing it, you might as well be maxing it out, which, 12,000 lights and flip-flopping them. You're using basically all the power you can without burning the house down.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's like, why do 2 when you might as well do 200, because it's going to be the same issues if it all goes down,
Yeah.
And so, okay, how would you beyond looking at the amperage that the house is coming in, how would you go about? And obviously Florida's the kind of place you can disappear in. And I know, like, we even had, I've talked to some people.
I haven't been back in years, man. My friends say, what happened to you, man? You disappeared.
We're like, I'm still in Florida, which is possible. You can disappear there. But like, we were talking with Kind Bill at one point in time, we had him on, who was talking about like literally getting dropped off out in the middle of nowhere, didn't leave the property for, I think the first shot was like 6 months, and it was literally like
terrible. All right, I got to tell you, man.
Right? No, but
we'll hear about
Florida.
We'll hear about stuff, man, where they just, particularly, it doesn't happen in Florida so much with weed because,
well, this was just about being clandestine. He just had to get the hell out, way out of town.
Dude, they do have immigrant groups where they bring them in, drop them off in the middle of the woods, let them hang for 4 or 5 or 6 months with freaking 10 cans of soup and stuff.
Well,
and grow a harvest, man. Right. That's where a lot of that homegrown free market stuff comes from, man.
Right. And that's because I guess my point with Florida is that it's just,
I say Florida, man.
It's a big state, and there's a lot of places that you can get away from people, you can disappear, and and you do have. I mean, it's funny because I think a lot of people think about, obviously, California when it comes to genetics, and even Colorado when it comes to rice. But in reality, all of the classic original genetics, the OGs, all that, all came through Florida because it was all coming from South America originally. A lot of it came from Colombia, from the Santa Marta area, right? It was here in Nevada. Absolutely, 100%. That's where the Hayes brothers went down. They collected out of the Sierra Nevada mountains outside of Santa Marta in Colombia. That's where they collected from. So, like, a lot of the genetics came through Florida, and that's more of an understood thing now, but that was disputed pretty heavily years ago. So it's just, and I don't know. I guess the reason I ask these questions is, and of course I operated in the black market, never necessarily that heavily, but it's like, not everybody can do it. Not everybody can go to sleep at night. Not everybody can stay, have that kind of pressure on them and actually pull it off.
You
you see a lot of people that
don't
that crumble
in plants, all right? And that's why I'm not a lawyer. 5-year minimum in.
Yeah, I don't know. That just that takes some balls. I guess that's ultimately,
What are some funny? I'm going to tell you anyway.
Yeah. No, I just say. So what if I say no?
I was a weed grower before. I own a bamboo nursery. I own a bamboo plants online if you want to go see some of my stuff. But it's 20 acres of all these different really cool bamboos. And I was a weed grower before I was a bamboo grower. That was what gave me the courage to be like, I'm going to start a nursery. And when I started this nursery, I just gave it away. I couldn't have been any more of a weed grower. Like I started, the guy's clearing the land, and I go, all right, man, where do I put my hydro tanks, man? And he was like, what? And I was like, I guess for grow, micro, and bloom, He looked at me. It was awesome. He goes, boy, them liquids, they're the dessert. And I was like, what? And then, dude, you put a base speed down, and then you give them the supplements, the dessert, the things that you guys do.
Right. Give them a little biology on top of that, right?
Yeah.
Which even that,
Banner made that thing look good, huh? It does. Once I left, the guys made it look like that. It was a mess when I was there, sir.
And so why did you do this? You needed somewhere to focus your energy, or okay? So I'm going to say that.
I'm just kidding. There's this weird.
Anybody on where is it out in the middle of nowhere? Was it?
It is in the middle of nowhere. I bought that. There was a sign that said 20 acres for $44,000, and I bought it. Yeah. And it was crazy because there's only shitty people around me too, man. That is in the real Florida, we call it, man.
Well, yeah, there's many parts of Florida.
There's only one hop, and his name is Puddin'. And everybody calls him Puddin'. I was like, are you sure? I said, go Puddin', man.
And he was like, no, you better act.
Put it this way.
If you don't,
my nearest neighbor's name is Link. That's it. Just Link, man. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Solid folks out there, man. Don't anybody say shit about rednecks, because I will defend them. Some solid, talented people, man.
And folks, great welders.
Yeah. Oh, come on, man. Dude, we lose a lot of skills here.
It is unfortunate.
They look at me sometimes when it's time to change a cylinder in the tractor, or to weld something, or to invent something. And they'll be like, come on, man. Come on, city boy. Get your head together.
You guys need to realize, like, during the AI apocalypse, the dirty South is just going to own it.
Yes!
No, it'll be fine.
Yes,
of course,
man.
A country boy can't survive, as I believe our wise man once said.
Who is that?
Hank Williams Jr.
Oh, would you call him? Yeah, I guess he's pretty wise.
Well, I don't know where I was.
In his own way, sir, all right? Mr. Bocephus.
Yeah.
Hey, that's another thing. I got to Florida, and they were all wearing Bocephus shirts. I didn't know what was going on, man, all right?
Yeah. Well, Florida can be pretty country, which it's a very agricultural place, which has been interesting, even like in the new era of watching cannabis down there now. And that's why I kind of find it so interesting, because there is massive commercial production down there now, but there also was, a very, and still is, a very healthy black market, free market, whatever you want to call, in Florida. But Florida's also always kind of had a bit of that mentality of like, I'll do it myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of cops down there, though.
Well, that's why, you didn't seem to be worried about it.
Well, you know what it was? Honestly, man, I can't believe we're recording this, and I'm actually saying, but dude, we did under 99 plants. We knew if something happened, we were going to take the charge.
Sure. Well, that was the understanding at that point.
Call Larry and take the charge, sir.
But,
right?
But my point is that most people don't think like that and don't have the balls, and especially these days.
I didn't want to work. I wasn't getting a regular job, bro. All right.
So now we're getting some of the so that, was that really your motivation? Is you just didn't want to do it the same way that, if people get into it for a lot of different ways. Me personally, I got into growing herb because I wanted to grow the best herb I could get my hands on. And I felt like me doing it was the best way to get that. But that was me. I didn't grow for profit initially. I grew 9 plants in 2-liter pots or something like that under a 250 watt HPS. That's me. That's my journey, right? Yeah. And everybody's journey is different, but that's why I wanted to get into the The real Scotty.
Yeah. All right. I will get super real with you.
What renovated? Yeah. Why? Yeah.
I went from my dad's house to having a 2-lighter in my closet, promising my girlfriend we were going to be rich. Don't worry, I got this, dude. We're going to be rich. You know what happened? We didn't get rich.
No.
You know what happened? The girl broke up with me.
Dear me.
Yes. And I'm sitting there all depressed, and I was pretty bummed out. And my buddy Mike comes over. Shout out to Mike, just Mike. There's certain people that have helped me in my life, so I'll always love them for it. And he says, I'm sending the electrician over. No fucking choice. I'm sending the electrician over, man.
Sometimes we need that pump, you know?
And dude, I just got a 20-lighter going, and
So you went
it was
from
life-changing, man.
to 20 lights.
Yeah, I moved into the closet.
Yeah, good. Yeah, well, 'cause that's the other thing. I mean, we're like,
I
how,
moved into the kitchen.
well, right. Yeah. How,
By any means
were you-
necessary, bro.
how social were you at that point? Or not, or antisocial, I
It
guess.
was a trip because you actually lead me to, I couldn't do anything. That was a one downer.
That's my whole point. And at that point in time, in black market, like you couldn't do shit, right?
You know what I could do? Was drive a mile. I lived a mile from the beach, okay? And that's cool. There was a Grateful Dead night. I don't like the Grateful Dead at all, okay? But there was a
So
Grateful
you're
Dead
telling me you're stereotyping our communities.
No, there were on Thursday nights, Crazy Fingers played at the pier, and I would go and I would just
Crazy Fingers.
I would go and bring just 8 or 10 joints, and I would go to the pier during the intermission. I would light one and just pass it. Light another one and just pass it. Sure, it's really just doing it for karma. Just, weed was $100 a quarter back then.
Oh,
I
people
thought it
had
was
to
fun.
flip out. I'm sure they were just like, oh my God. Like,
So this one dude is like, dude, I gotta meet this guy. The guy over there passing out joints. I feel like I should go make friends with him, man. And that was not only some dude, that was the dude.
the dude.
That's how me and Brett, the guy I do the podcast with, one of my best friends, that's how we met.
Florida. Was he living in Florida? Was he visiting Florida? What the hell
That guy's badass, man. He just decided he was going to live his dreams. When he got out of college, he was like, you know what? I've always wanted to live in Florida. I'm going to go live in Florida. And you know what he said to me 2 years later? This place is whack. I always wanted to live in Colorado. I'm going to go live in Colorado. And he told me, he goes, I'm moving to Denver, bro. I'm like, you're insane. You know how far away that is? People here don't move to Denver. Yeah. And spoiler alert,
Yeah.
now he lives in Canada. I love him, man. You know what he did for me, man? After Denver was so cool, 1.5 years, 2 years later, he calls me up and he goes, dude, you need to move here. You need to move here. He goes, they'll let you grow 36 plants legally.
Not anymore, by the way.
And you can bring it to the dispensary in a backpack and walk out with a backpack.
And those backpack days were,
Oh, shout out to 2009.
those were days and days.
So I came out of here, rented a house, and the feds kicked my door 9 days later. No way. Oh, yeah, it's not a lie. I had Really? Yeah. Not 9 days.
Now we're
9 days.
9 days.
They were so... They didn't even wait for me to start my grow. They got me with a few clones.
So your door got kicked in here in Colorado 9 days after you moved here.
Yes. And not only that, they just let me know how they'd been listening to me the whole time.
So they knew you were coming to Colorado. They saw everything. Yeah.
Whole thing. They actually got to like me because they listened on the phone to my conversation so much. They really did. They were nice to me. They were nice to me.
I mean, they're like, those guys aren't assholes.
Yeah, I was complaining about how long it took me to get through Kansas, and the guy cop looks at me and he just goes, Kansas is a big state, huh?
Hey, like, oh God, they have been listening.
Yeah.
So what? Well, why'd they kick your door in? What happened?
They thought that I was coming here to grow weed.
Oh, but you were.
Yes. Who knows, man? There's some interstate stuff there. The point is, actually, I had no charges. I had done.
Well, there wasn't. Yeah,
They
definitely.
were pretty bummed out, honestly.
Did they think? I mean, because that's just stupid. Did they think you were going to be fully set up already? Why didn't they wait a little while? I mean, no. I mean, it's good for you that they didn't. Like, is it just me, or does that seem really stupid?
And man, I learned sometimes that, cops, there's some smart ones and there's some not smart ones. There's different motivations for doing stuff.
That's true. I mean, I will say that
I was my cop angel looking out for me.
I had an experience with law enforcement here when it came to cannabis, and I'll say that without going into a whole lot of details, that
It actually ended up being like this.
No, not at all.
That's a Florida thing. I guess that's a Florida thing.
Yeah, that's normal there. It ended up ultimately being, the positive experience might be a little bit aggressive, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was like it like you said, some are good, some have different motivations, some are bad, whatever. The guys seemed to be doing it for the right reasons. They were trying to, all it was making sure that, people weren't growing a bunch, putting it on the black market. If you were doing the little things that we like to do, no problems.
True.
You know what I mean? So
they're going to think about, though, now it's not about just a little bit about the black market. It's about taking tax revenue away. And when you do that, you piss off a whole new kind of cop.
Well, as I like to say, what did Al Capone go to prison for?
Yeah, tax evasion, bro.
Wasn't murder, wasn't bootlegging, wasn't anything else. So if you don't pay Uncle Sam, that's the quickest and best way to get your ass in trouble.
You ever know a drug dealer who tries to pay his taxes? It's awesome. They'll take your money. Yeah, take your money. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I've seen people do it. All right, dude.
Well, and I mean, that's, even though the joke was always like, why are you selling subs? It's like, well, I got to pay some taxes. That's
true. That's what South Florida was so fun for, that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, you get like what, a bartending job. Okay, did you work any other jobs, or were you completely, when you were doing the grow and seeing crazy fingers, that was about it?
Yeah. Yeah, man. You ever, you learn about yourself? I learned I was unemployable. Yeah.
It's a good thing to learn that early.
When I got home from college, when I graduated college, I came home and they were like, "Yeah, man, you can start working at 7:30. You can come in at 8 if you want." This just wasn't working for me,
right? And is that when the 2-lighter got set up when you come back out of college? So they got set up pretty damn quickly because you knew what it was per ounce. So you were like, "There's revenue here." You obviously plugged yourself into a community of users by that point.
Not yet. I was naive AF back then.
Well, I mean, okay, so in college, were you smoking, or was it like if there was some weed at a party, you might take a hit?
Oh, no, like that. Freaking incredible pothead.
Well, seeing that's my point. So you knew, at least at that point, you knew consumers.
Okay. I learned how to do it with a buddy that was just like, "Hey, I know how to make clones. Look, I'm taking 5-gallon buckets and putting them under this street lamp, and it's growing." And then when I went back to South Florida, I did something simple, and dude, it was a mistake that I made for the next 20 years. And that was, I went to a grow store, not a nursery, a grow store, and bought grow equipment and grow media, all this stuff that sounded like I was doing a science experiment instead of growing plants. And then every now and again, my buddy would be like, "Yo, man, there's this girl over there I met," or whatever, this lady that has strawberries and tomatoes and cucumbers and the best weed I've ever smoked, man, because she understood gardening. She understood the plants.
Yeah.
Well, get me riled up, man.
I do think I'm sure.
Hey, it's good to hang, brother. It is really fun to hang.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And I do love the fact that, like, cannabis took you into the larger plant world. And I see that happen a lot. And I enjoy that because I think you'll probably empathize with this. So many people just think that cannabis is this very, very unique plant, which, don't get me wrong, it's unique, sure. But if you really break it down, it's a C3 photoperiodic plant, of which there are many in this world, right? So when you learn the principles of plants or photoperiodic plants or whatever, you're not just learning about cannabis, you're learning about plants. Mm-hmm. And I would say, even for myself, my plant journey, and, I have a background in horticulture and organic farming and all this stuff now, but it did start with cannabis, And for that, I love it. That for me is what just started opening up those doors. And I came to that realization rather quickly, like, oh, crap. It's not just weed. It's a plant.
Like, it's a plant. And when you figure that out, oh, my God, it becomes so much easier.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
hang on a second. Give me a look. You want a House of Cortez mystery drink?
Ooh, House of Cortez.
As weed and booze. Who knows what else, man?
I'm down.
Come on, Chuck. I think there's some CBD in there somewhere. Sorry, I'm just having fun, man.
No, it's good. And like I said, I love, I love hearing some of these stories and hearing some of the background, because again, it is, I don't think often do you get a venue to talk about. So it's and honestly, for the longest time, it's like, even when people would ask me, oh, what do you do? Oh, I sell horticultural equipment and supplies.
Is that what you say? I say I sell fertilizer.
I church it up a little bit.
3 words. I got 3 words for you.
Funny, my wife does it though. Now
let me in your country.
I just tell people you're in the cannabis industry. Thanks.
Really?
Oh yeah, she doesn't care.
No, it's like when I'm going through customs or top or something like that. You know,
that's what's fun. What are you here for? Oh,
I'm at the bank. You know. Yes.
Just hanging out, smoking a different continent's weed. No,
Rambo, you got it, man.
Yeah, I was thinking about how far you've come, and now it's like here you are with your real grow lab. You're like, you taking all that experience and parlayed it into this.
No, honestly, I love that story. I love the story of your dad being like, okay, son, let me really show you.
Yeah.
Like, you're just getting that early education. It was a really important thing. Like, again, for me, electricity, understanding some of that,
Sure.
that was huge. And it came later in my, growing experience. I truly think knowing that now about you, that definitely helped like catapult you ahead way faster than your peers.
Yeah, you know what? You want to times that by 1,000 or by 5,000 though, is when I started a community. Yeah, when we started the DGC, Grambo has Real Grow Lab up right now. This is my community for real growers.
Yep.
Or not really, just for in general, man. But dude, when I started a community and when I admitted I didn't know much, everything, I thought I knew something. I knew a way. It turned out it wasn't the best way. Sure. It was a way.
Yeah.
And when I started hopefully opening it up to people like, thankfully, people like you showed up. Man, Jay Maestro, JR Token.
Yeah.
I'm leaving so many people out, but these people showed up, and instead of going, hey, you're wrong, they're like, oh, man, hang on a second. What do you think about this? Or here's something you're missing.
Yeah.
Dude, the cannabis community. It's such a joy to hang out with the right people.
Right. That collective knowledge is really, really powerful. It's like the whole thing. You don't have to know everything. You just have to know where to find the answer. Right?
Yes, you have to ask the right questions. Sure. And by the way, thank you so much, because you are an awesome resource when I need to understand the science behind something or just get a better perspective on something. Man, I can tell you.
No, and I'm happy.
Don't call Grambo. I'm just kidding. I asked Grambo about chicks.
I'm definitely happy to provide that outlet, and it's, again, that's one of the things I was impressed with is a community and something that we're trying to build here at Jug Dealers as well. Shout out to all our juggernauts out there.
Dude, I love the content, man.
Yeah,
this is doing.
I appreciate that. I really do. We're working hard on it. Thank you for all listeners. I think this is a fun one today. We wanted to, you've always given me, an opportunity to come on and bullshit with your shows. And again, we got a ton of listeners, right off the bat with the way I, so
you think of that. And sorry, Scotty Interruptus is in full effect. Can we just say we're allowed, man, right? Me and Jaron, we both talk like freight trains, man. So Scotty Interruptus is in.
Well, I mean, and for some of the people that say that I interrupt, I guess maybe it's a dose of my own.
You learned it from the best.
Oh, man.
Dose of my own medicine. No, I just get excited, people.
Yes, like passionate. But what I wanted to say is, I consider it a huge favor that you came on our show, the Dude Grow Show, and shared your information. Mm-hmm. When I started opening up and asking questions and realizing I didn't know much, or I knew, like I said, way, not the way.
Sure.
Oh, and I became such a better grower.
Yeah.
Yes. Respect to you, brother.
No, I appreciate that. And I truly believe there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. You know what I mean? I don't think there's the right way to do it
anymore.
I think, can you just say that?
I can't say anything anymore.
I think there's no right way to do it, no single right way to do it. I do think there's wrong ways to do it. I will say that. But in general, I think that that's one of the beautiful things about plants is that, and I'll leave everybody with this, and we said it before, we don't know shit about plants. They were here before us. They'll be here after us. What we know about plants is so little. And even talking about some of those pathways and stuff that are initiated with UV, we don't know shit. And
if we had a sweat to feed ourselves, that's like what plants do, man. They feed themselves with water. It has to go out the stomatas. That's where they get their food out, man. You would literally, dude, I'd die. Well, I'd be so skinny, man. No,
it's almost a trick question. What is plant food? Is it the nutrients that we give it? Is it what we call plant food?
No, carbon dioxide is the plant food.
It's the sun. The carbon is actually taken to make sugars, but it's taken from the sun. That's the actual energy that's captured to create sugar, which is their energy. They make their own food. They're autotrophs, not heterotrophs.
Is a macronutrient. Don't make me take off my shirt.
CO2. CO2 is a macro? No.
I love it.
Yeah. No, but anyway, it's interesting because all that stuff is structural. What we call plant food is structural. That's just for plant structure. The real food is the energy from the sun.
Yeah. Food is the energy.
Yes. Thank you guys for listening. Appreciate it very much. Pleasure being here in the bakery as opposed to the Jug Den. But next time you'll see us back in the den.
Always enjoy.
So yeah, guys, go check out Real Grow Lab. Get a dose of Scotty, and then make sure you head over to JugDealers.shop.
JugDealers.shop. Check it out. Got a bunch of new videos that we've been shooting too. Bunch of how-tos, breaking down all the individual products. You guys will be seeing it soon. Grambo's hard at work.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
Hey,
See you soon.
right on. Take it easy, all y'all.